place yet. So it's amazing to always come back and be part of the fashion department here because it's also part of my story. So I'm excited. Um, are you ready? Awesome. I am Ugochi Iwuaba. I'm a fashion designer, just like all of you, because I believe that fashion design does not start when you have your certificate. It starts the moment you say, I love to create things, and then you start cutting up your clothes and making it fun. So that's how you're a fashion designer. And that's exactly how I started. And I will tell you the truth. The truth is that I didn't know the importance of tech packs, okay? Because like everybody else, I know how to make clothes. I learned how to sketch, and I can tell myself exactly what I want, and I sit down on the sewing machine and I make it. And then I became a couture fashion designer, which is also very, very different from actually being working with making making clothes like the one I'm wearing from factories. So you get your customers, you get your clients, they come in, you measure them exactly, and you make their patterns and you make their clothes exactly to the measurements, right? Now you know how you want to put in the zipper, you know how you want to do the pockets, you know how to do everything. This is you. You're creating, you're in your own zone, your own space, and you're just making wonderful stuff, right? And then all of a sudden, you realize that people want more of your clothes, more and more of it. And now you can't make everybody's clothes. And people are like, oh, I would love to go to the beach in somewhere, and I need something, and you don't have the pieces that they want. It's not every time that you can create something that your customers want. And so when you start growing, you're going to need to talk to somebody about making more than one piece. And that's where the tech pack is very, very important. Have you ever put in the plug for the serger in the, electric, like the outlet, yes. And you put it on there, and you're actually stepping on your sewing machine, and you're like, why is this sewing machine not working? And so you're killing yourself, and you're like, man, it worked yesterday, it worked perfectly, it was fine. The lights are not coming on, nothing is moving. Well, it's only because it's the plug for the serger that is on there, not inside in there, not the one for the sewing machine. And that is the same thing with not working with a tech pack. Because the person you're talking to in the factory knows exactly what they know. And you know exactly what you know. And you have this design in your head. And, oh, I already started my slides without even going down. But I already introduced myself and the scaling and all that stuff. Now, this is the realities of working with domestic versus overseas manufacturing. Now, I'm still getting to that part, but now you know what you want. You're excited about what you want. But the person you're talking to thinks they understand what you want. They think so because you're explaining, like, I want a button here, and they're like, yeah, sure, button. And you say, I want a pocket here, sure, I got it. And then they go and make you something, and you're like, what is this? And this is true story. It has happened to me, right? And you tell them, okay, this is not, now you have wasted their time, you have wasted your time, you have wasted materials and fabric and buttons and zippers, and you didn't even get the vision that is in your head. And that is a very, very unhappy place to be, especially for someone like me, because I get very frustrated when I don't get my visions out. Um, the funny thing is, when I used to produce my clothes in Los Angeles, it was easy because I could drive up to Los Angeles, see the mistakes, sit down there with them and correct it. and we can talk about it and measure it together and look at the fabric and see what it's doing. But now, if you scale even more than just making 10 pieces or 30 pieces, and now you're talking about making like 500 pieces, you have to go to the overseas manufacturing because, again, remember, the numbers have to match. And you know, some things you want, like embroidery, like buttons, like the one on my clothes, you need manufacturers that can manufacture it. And sometimes the only place you can get everything in one place is overseas. Now you go overseas for the manufacturing, and it's a whole different ball game because they don't even speak your language. You don't even see the materials. Unless you want to travel all the time to go see what they're doing, which is money you could be actually putting into your production, you need a tech pack. Now, the good thing is when you have a tech pack, they can actually download your tech pack and translate it into their language, and now they understand exactly what you were saying, right? As against trying to write to them in English and tell them, oh, I want sim right here. Now, you could be saying sim, and they be hearing something else. Even the ones that can hear English, they hear something else, right? And it's very important to have your tech pack and when you're manufacturing overseas. Um, and so the topic of today is why a tech pack is your best friend as a designer. I hate anything that wastes my time. I hate anything that's gonna keep me from stitching and sewing. I just love to create. That is what I am good at, right? I'm good at just like this beautiful piece over here. I'm like, wow, wouldn't it be nice if I was a present, right? Like if I showed up and I was the actual present. And so I decided, why don't I structure this bow? But I want the bow to stand. I don't want it to be on the body. So I'm working on it and I do it perfectly, right? But if I was to tell another person to make this design for me, which is the problem when it comes to working with manufacturers, they don't know how this fabric is going to stand unless you give them a blueprint exactly how you want it. And that's why a tech pack is your blueprint. It's the blueprint that your manufacturers are going to use to know exactly what you want. They're going to make your construction exactly the way you want it. And the tech pack actually includes detailed information about the garment, like everything, okay? This particular design actually has a lot of boning going from back to the front so that it's structured and it stands, but it's not heavy. So I use not the heavy boning, but the flexible one that is also very lightweight. Now, if I told them I wanted boning inside it, they will put the very heavy boning and they will tell me it keeps falling, right? So you need a tech pack so that you can ensure that your vision translates into a tangible product accurately, okay? Now, the key components of a tech pack is it has to have the style number, it has to have your information, it has to have the front, back, side view, all that great stuff. And I'm pretty sure Jordan has made sure that you guys know exactly what is inside it. The bill of materials, I'll still get to all of that. The colorways and the art placements and the labels and all that stuff. Now you can see this beautiful design that this model is wearing. I made this in the winter, right? And I created the design. I was like, what would it look like if I had like elastic just gathering the sleeves up? What would it look like? And I still want it to be slim. I don't want it to be like floppy and falling. I created it for the winter. And then I loved the shape so much. As you can see, I'm wearing one. And so we refashioned it for spring and summer. And that's what I'm wearing. Now, sometimes I wear it without this, but I was trying to look corporate for you guys, so I put this on. But exactly, I put it on like this. This is, and then I made it, so when I was telling the factory what I wanted with the sleeves, they didn't know what I was talking about. They made a couple of sleeves and messed it up. And what I had to do was to actually take the sample that I made, and it broke my heart. But I had to open it up and take all the measurements, including the measurement of the elastic and everything from, the point of measurement, different points of measurements, and I sent it to them. Voila, they got it right. So it's very, very important that you have that. Now, um, what is a bill of material? Is a list of every material needed to create your garment, right? So when I talk about my design from when I was doing a couture designer and I sketch, all I'm sketching is I know it's denim, I know it's gonna be structured, so I'm gonna cut it like this, and I'm gonna put, an angle so that it doesn't fall. That is what I have in my head as a couture designer. But if I was talking to the factory, I need a bill of materials, right? Because I have to tell them exactly how I want my zipper. As you can see, this is my zipper, the length that I want it, the way I want the logo to appear, and everything that has to do with it, even including the material, the weight. You can see how much it weighs. So you have to let them know exactly what you want. You have to tell them what kind of tape you want, what kind of zipper, like the T, I don't know what they call this, but like you have to tell them exactly, or else they're not gonna get what you want. And you can also send them, what do you call it, reference, right? You can say, oh, they don't understand what you're talking about. You start looking online, and then you find something, and you're like, something like this, but make it like this, okay? But you have to put all of that in your bill of materials: the fabric, the lining, the buttons, the zippers, the labels. And it does get, like I said, I hate anything that takes me away from creating and wastes my time. But by the time you order, I'll tell you the story of my swimsuit. But but this helps in pricing, sourcing, and production accuracy. So it's very important that they know everything, because we are looking at this fabric, but for us to create this material that I'm wearing, this beautiful design that I'm wearing right now, we need a label, we need tags, we need the care instruction, and everything has to be measured and accurate. So there's a lot that goes into it, and that's what the bill of materials is all for. Now, a spec sheet is the exact measurements of each size. So for me, for my brand, I love to be comfortable in my clothes. The biggest thing for my brand is comfort. Now, I want to look like I'm uncomfortable, you know, because fashion is not supposed to look comfortable, right? Like if you're really doing it good. But I want the illusion of comfort. I'm wearing comfortable clothing, but I look like I'm not comfortable, right? So I do look very fashionable, but I am feeling like I'm in my pajamas. That's what my brand is all about. That's what we want, right? Now, when I make my own measurements for my clothing, I do not use the standard measurements. I do not bring down you can see that the waist is a little up. And so when I do, I don't go 2 inches down. I actually stay like 1 inch above the actual waistline. This is because for most people, that is very small. So you look teeny, right? You look very slim. Now, I let it go out a little bit, but you're not gonna notice that because I do that from the back, and I also do that from a little bit, the center, like, so the zipper is not really straight, right? The zipper line, it's actually curved. So I take out a little bit and then I add a little bit here. Why? because I don't like the poof, but I like to eat. Because if you invite me to your party, I'm gonna eat. But I don't wanna look like I'm holding my stomach the whole time. Okay? So that's why you need your spec sheet. Everybody's spec sheet is different. My design is for people who love to eat and enjoy themselves and be comfortable. Um, and that's exactly how you get. But you need a spec sheet for all your designs. Like this is where the breast is. This is where this is the breast measurement for this. This is the waist measurement for this. This is the hip. And if you're gonna make different clothing, you need different spec sheets for different clothing. Like if I was gonna make a pencil skirt, definitely I do need a better hip measurement than the one I have for this design. So that's what your spec sheet is supposed to do. Um, why a tech pack matters. Now, this is the point where I tell you my mishap with not this particular design. This particular design came out lovely, but I ordered during the COVID. I was like, I need to expand my business. We can't do couture anymore, and I can see my clients, but they want clothes. They want to go to the beach and stuff like that. What do I do? So I told myself, wow, it should be easy to make swimsuits and swim covers. Why not? And so I talked to a manufacturer, and they were like, yeah, but you have to order 500 pieces for us to be able to make it for you. And I was like, 500 pieces? I was like, well, it's going to be a great design, right? So let's just jump into this, because it was COVID. Everybody was jumping into everything, right? So here I am. I do a sketch, and I send it to them. Wonderful. They send me a sample, and I didn't give them anything. I was just explaining, I want the rope to go this way, and I want it to tie at the back, and I want this and I want that. That's exactly what I was telling them, and they would accept it. The funny thing about the manufacturers is they will take whatever you give them, right? But they're gonna charge you for every sample if it's your fault. Right? So I just told him all the stuff I wanted and all that great stuff. And guess what? I got my sample, and it was high, like the what do you call it? The breast cover, it was so high. And I was like, no, that's not for my grandma. It's supposed to be sexy and cool. So I made the mistake of thinking that if I told them to just lower it a little bit, since every other thing fits, that they're going to send me a perfect swimsuit. Yeah, so I paid them, and I went to sleep. Next thing, boxes and boxes of swimsuit came, but guess what they did? Now it's too low that the nipples show, and now I have boxes and boxes of oh, Lord. But yeah, so to reduce this kind of costly errors and rework, because I didn't rework that design anymore. I just found tiny models to wear them, take pictures, and pack them up. Because if somebody else wore it, they would have a fashion malfunction, which they don't want. Nipples would be everywhere, and that's not what we want, right? So if you don't want this kind of errors and rework, it is better for you to just sit down and do what I now do, which is actually tell them the measurements of everything and show them exactly where each point is measured. Now, it's tedious job. I know, I hate it. And every time I have to do it for a whole collection, I don't like it. But the good thing is I can hire an assistant and put all that work on them. And then sit down and be all high and mighty and criticize everything they do and make them do all over again. But you still need to do it, okay? So if you do it, it's gonna save you time and money, and it will maintain your brand integrity and quality. As you all know, if somebody bought one thing from you and they're a new customer or client, and the thing that they bought doesn't work for them, the fit is bad or something, they're gonna somehow imagine that everything you make is that way. And that is the reason why I decided that it's better for me to take the loss with the swimsuits and not sell them, right? Because I have bought clothes online, it looked great on the model, and then you get it and it's too short or it's too long, and you feel like that's their measurement because they do have their spec sheet and that's how they do their designs, and you don't want to repeat with them again. So for you not to lose your customers, it will be best for you to have a tech pack. Oh, I just told my story about the mishap that I want. So working overseas with manufacturers, right? There is a lot of cultural barrier. There is a lot of language barriers. Now, I work a lot with China, and when I send my clothes to China, their sizing is smaller, right? So when I send them a baggy clothes, right, whatever they make is gonna be small. So you have to intentionally understand that China likes clothes that are fitted, right? We Americans, we love clothes that are baggy, right? So if I was to make a jacket, the jacket I want to make is like a little bit, maybe like 4 inches off my body. You have to measure it and let them know because in their mind, it's too big, okay? And they will repeat it so many times. This is too big. Same thing with working with Vietnam, right? But if you work with India, you don't have that same issues, right? Because I work a lot with India for my embroidery. Now, the only problem is India is going to be a little bigger on the waistline than you would want it. So you have to understand how culture and the way people, the general population of people are in the place where you're working, how it affects the way they see clothing, because it's very, very important. And the language barrier is a real thing, okay? I spent 2 weeks in China. I spent 2 weeks in India. And I have done so many crazy things, like just wake up and go to a country that I don't know anybody and I don't speak the language. But hey, fashion pushes you, you move. Same thing with going to Spain. I don't know how to speak nothing. And I'm like, yeah, Spain, let's go. So, but you have to understand that there is language barrier, right? Now, when you have language barrier, there's the only way you can fix it is if you had what they can understand, which is also a tech pack, because they've been working with other factories, other designers, other brands, and so they understand how to translate that into their own language. And it makes it easier for you so that you don't be like me and get calls at 3 a.m. at night of somebody asking you, so the button you said, is it 2 inches or 1 inch? Actually, they ask you in centimeters, so that kind of throws you off at 3 a.m. at night because what the heck is 8.5 centimeters? Anyways, but yeah, that's the thing. And then there's a time zone difference, right? Like I was saying, when they're working, we're sleeping. When we're sleeping, they're working. So we need to understand that you will have to be awake sometimes to answer the questions on your tech pack if it's not done correctly. And I'm not saying that you would ever have a perfect tech pack. And I'm not saying that every time you send a tech pack, the samples that come back is going to be perfect. Now, let me tell you this beautiful story. Oh, um, I work with other brands, right? I help other brands do these things because so many people are like, I just want to make a hoodie and I want to make I just want to create a hoodie line. And I'm like, yeah, I can help you, right? I'm going to take on all that job and then you pay me for it. So I was so excited because I found out this app called Clo 3D. We all know Clo 3D? Okay, great. I was like, dang, I'm gonna just put this design and Claude 3D is going to do all the magic and do all the work, and I'll just charge this guy. What a wonderful way to make money. Problem is, Claude 3D is a computer. And most times with apps, you have to enter detailed information for it to give you back what you need. Or else it will give you what they have as the standard measurements in design, right? So I put it in all this stuff, designed it, it looked amazing. The guy was like, yes, once this hits the market, amazing, amazing. We send it to the manufacturer. He was like, oh, he printed the pattern that Claude 3D gave us, right? And used everything. Guess what? He said it's so small that it's for a 9-year-old boy. And I'm supposed to be the professional here. But yeah, that's my interesting story of not actually sitting down and doing the measurements myself and trying to put in all the work myself. Because again, apps are amazing, but apps are not human beings. Apps are not you. And that's what makes you wonderful. You know, God is a creator, right? And I feel that for us, we are like, for God to have given us this talent of creation, it's one of the most special, most beautiful things in the world. And if you don't believe in God, you say the universe, whatever it is, not everybody thinks the way you think. Your mind is a creator's mind, and it's the most beautiful thing. And the way it works is so different from everybody's own. If I gave you the same piece of fabric, and I gave you the same piece of fabric, and I said, go, make something, there is no way in this world you will both make the same thing. And that's why I say this is the best kind of talent and gift to have, the creator's talent. And because of that, because nobody else can think like you, you need a tech pack to let us know exactly what magic is going on behind your head. All right? And there's an importance for you to actually over-communicate. You can never over-communicate. When it comes to a tech pack, you can never just tell them, flip the button and measure it is 0.0222 millimeter. It's fine, right? Because at the end of the day, you're telling them exactly how it's supposed to be done. How it's supposed to be done. It's amazing. And I keep using, I don't know, am I allowed to make reference? I'm not doing it in a Christian way, but make reference to the Bible? Okay, because there were blueprints of how everything was created, so we need that. We need that because nobody knows what's going on in your head. We need it, okay? And then when you buy, another thing is like when you buy electronics, right? And I'm very guilty of this because I'm African, if you haven't noticed. I come straight from Nigeria. We do not read manuals, okay? Manuals are a suggestion. Just, like when we try to do it and it doesn't work, then we ask the manual, wow, what's going on, right? But your tech pack is like a manual. It tells the manufacturer exactly how to start and how to finish. And don't be like me when you get a manual. Look from the beginning first. And then it will save you hours of trying to take it down and start all over again. And it gives them clear expectations of what you want. And it gives better results. Now, if they do make a mistake, right, in the sample, and they send it to you, because you have all your information in your tech pack, you show them, say, hey, I told you guys this is exactly how this is supposed to be. I told you guys this is it, and you made the mistake, so now you have to fix it. Then you don't have to pay extra money to make new samples. And I will tell you, samples are so costly. Even though they say, oh, China is so cheap, that's a lie, okay? That's a lie. It is expensive to make every sample because you know what? Leather is expensive everywhere. Silk is expensive everywhere. Swarovski buttons are expensive everywhere. It doesn't even matter because they're crystals, right? So they're expensive everywhere. So you have to be very, very careful and tell them so that you don't have to spend money. If you give them clear expectations, you get better results. And when you don't, you can hold them accountable, right? Um, so here are the common mistakes that designers make. And I feel like I'm rushing through this so much. Okay, common designers we make, and I am very guilty of most of them because, hey, I'm a designer and most designers make. So we assume that verbal written descriptions are enough. Something happened. I have this purse that I made a sample. This is the actual sample of the purse. Um, it's very, very nice, sorry. Very nice, very beautiful. And the leather is very nice, very quality, right? Now, we have done the whole samples and everything, and it looks amazing. See? I hate closing my purse, so I kind of felt like it would be nice to add magnets to it, right? And everything they did it because I sent them a good tech pack of how I wanted this to be made, right? Last minute, someone tells me, hey, you know, it would be nice if your logo was gold, so it would stand out more. And I always loved my logo being gold. It's always gold on black on gold or gold on black, something like that. And I was like, yeah, that would be nice. Why not? Why did I not think about that? So I called the factory at 3 a.m. and I tell them, hey, I would like you guys, before you start production, to make this gold. They sent me a video of a sample of gold on black with the front flap like this. And I was very excited. I was very happy because it looks so good. What didn't I tell them? I don't want gold because there's another logo here in the main sample that I approved. There was another logo here. And I didn't tell them that that logo at the back is not going to be gold. Guess what they did? Now I have a bag with logo, gold at the front, gold at the back. That's a design if you really think about it, but that was not my initial intention. And this is just something that happened on the spur of the moment, like, hey, it would be nice. And then I'm like, just change. Now I forgot that I had another logo at the back, right? So it's very, very important to let them know because now I'm assuming that telling them verbally and writing it down on WhatsApp and telling them, hey, change this to gold was enough, right? Because it's not. Leaving measurements open to interpretation is also very, very wrong because, like I told you, people look different in different countries, okay? So what I imagine a woman to look like in China is different. They're short, and then maybe somewhere else they're tall, and you send them this, and guess what they're gonna send you back? A very short dress that doesn't fit, okay? And people are skinnier in some countries than others. People are, you know, there are so many different, so you can't leave measurements open to interpretation. And I told you, I love to have space so that I don't have the bump. And I have to make sure that they know that this is my measurement and this is how I work with my designs, okay? And not updating the tech pack with design changes. Like I said, when you change your design, like when I changed the design, the hand from the long sleeve to this, I could have just told them, make it short sleeve. And guess what? They'll just take out the sleeve and just close it, right? But I wanted it to have this nice little, you know, curve design here so that when you wear it, it looks a little sexy and your arms look a little slimmer. Because when it's here, you look a little more boxy, right? So you have to update the tech pack for every design change. If you change the designs, you have to update the tech pack. Now, skipping samples, or approval. I told you the swimsuit story, so I don't have to tell you again. I had one thing, one job. Ask for another sample with the adjustment that they made, right? And give them a measurement. But I didn't do any of that. I went straight to production, and that cost me a lot of money, including the shipping, and shipping is not cheap. So skipping samples or approvals before mass production, that is a whole no-no. Don't do that. It's really, really not good for you. Um, and so my final tips and is always build a complete tech pack, even for basics. So even if you were gonna make a tank top, even if you were gonna make just a regular shorts, anything that you feel somebody should know, and it will surprise you that they don't know. So anything you feel that people should know, even if it's just assume that they don't know, okay? And then provide them a tech pack. Um, Double check your measurements and bill of materials before sending it to them. Now, if you don't double check it, you make a mistake, they will copy your mistake and make it, and it will be wrong. Okay? So you have to make sure that even if you told your assistant to do it, it still falls on you, the designer, to check it and make sure that everything is exactly the way it is. Because no matter what, you're still going to pay your assistant at the end of the month. And when the production is done, you're still going to pay them. So it's going to cost you if you don't pay attention to all of that. Now, you always have to request pre-production samples. I cannot overemphasize how important it is to order as many samples as possible. It is very, very important to do that because even the last thing, like the logo that I changed last minute, could cost you a lot for during production, okay? And they, of course, they had to charge me extra for making the thread in the back and the front. So it's good. Even if you can sell it, it still costs you more to make. Treat tech packs as a living document that evolves with your design. So the more you grow in your business, I didn't automatically realize that I wanted to make clothes that didn't show a bump, right? It was after I've made a couple and I'm like, I need to adjust this measurement. So, and working with brides during the time I was making couture is so frustrating because they know that they're not skinny and their stomach is not flat. But guess the design they're gonna give you? That design that shows everything. And then they're gonna show it to you on somebody else that looks like they should be in that design, right? So I had to develop a way to work around my measurements and my patterns to be able to fit them and give them everything they want without giving a push. But it took me long, so the older I got in my career, the more I update my basic pattern so that it can reflect the things that I want, okay? And so that's why it's very, very important. You treat it like it's a living document because guess what? Even if you're not there and somebody else takes over your company, they want to see where you started, right? And then you can keep growing. They can take what you did, maybe make changes to them, and keep growing. But you need to update it and keep it active at all times, okay? In conclusion, your creativity needs structure to succeed and scale, okay? When I started as a fashion designer, the truth of the matter is I didn't expect myself to get to where I am. I just loved making clothes, and that was what I wanted. I was pregnant with my son. They diagnosed him with Down syndrome. I had just been fired from my job because I came back from a maternity leave, and now I'm pregnant again. It was like everything was falling apart, everything. And the only thing that saved me was making clothes because I can go and make my clothes and stop the mannequin, cut up the fabric. It doesn't even matter because, hey, I can cry while I'm doing this. It was a release for me, right? And it was therapy, right? But I didn't expect that I was going to become this designer, right? And when you keep growing, you will find out that people love what you're doing. And once you find out that people love what you're doing, you now need structure, right? So that you can keep scaling, so that you can keep growing. And that is where it's important for us to actually document and keep all this stuff, okay? I didn't imagine to be where I am today, and I am very happy. I'm blessed to be where I am today. But your creativity does need structure to succeed and grow. If you want to pass it down, if you want to give it over to somebody else or sell it at the end of the day, you do need structure to scale, okay? A tech pack protects your brand, your budget, and your dreams. It's, your dreams are very important, believe it or not. I don't know how many of you wake up like you wake up and you have a design right in front of you. You wake up and you're like, it happens first thing in the morning. And then you got to sketch, 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 right? Those are the best designs I've ever made. Honestly, I woke up and I saw a bucket of flour for a bride. And that's one of the best wedding gowns I ever made because I had to make like something that looks like a bouquet bucket, and then I put roses inside it. It was beautiful, right? So your dreams do need to be protected because a tech pack will let the people know exactly what you were thinking when you were thinking it and exactly how to execute it just in case you're not there. It protects your brand because, like I said, brand integrity is very, very important. You have to know how to protect your brand. And the only way you can protect it as it goes from one factory to the other or you're producing more stuff is if you had a tech pack to tell the people exactly how to make your designs, right? And then it protects your budget. Like I told you, I have 500. Now, if anybody likes a swimsuit that doesn't quite cover well, I have one for you. But it kind of protects your budget, right? Because now you don't have to spend that extra money to make clothes that do not really fit, okay? Um, and now this is my favorite part. Question and answer. Does anybody have any questions for me? Awesome. I love questions. Let's start here. If you love all that little tiny, tiny measurements on the back of the tape, I'd say go for it. I think it's the best because outside of the US, a lot of people do not use inches, okay? I think inches is just America, okay? So, yes, if you did it in centimeters, your life would be so much easier. But then you already noticed I don't like my life easy, so I do it in inches. But yes, yeah, I make a lot of patterns. So when you're working overseas, most times you don't go to them, and the time to ship to them and to ship back it's time lost, right? And the fashion industry because before you know it, spring and summer is over and it's time for fall and winter. So the reason why you need a tech pack is to be able to send it to those people that you can't reach physically and send them. And then what if you made your pattern? And I know you know how hard it is to make a pattern, and you put all the notches and everything inside it, and then you send it to somebody. You don't have your pattern anymore, right? So you can actually just take a picture of your pattern and put all the, like from the point of measurements, right? And put all your measurements on that picture, and they can go and recreate what you already have. But you have your blueprint, you still have your pattern. No, because you're sending them your vision. What is the guarantee that they're gonna send you back your vision? And how many times has any designer ever decided, hey, I'm gonna make this pattern and then I'm gonna make it again? No, we don't like that. We don't do that. So, yeah, does that answer your question? Yes. Yes, a tech pack gives them details, and most of the factories already have people who work on tech packs and all that stuff. And once they get it, they will, and there's a lot of what do you call it? There's a lot of technology out there that once you send it to them, they just on the computer just moving and shifting and according to your measurements that you sent them. So you don't necessarily need to send them a pattern. You can actually create a whole production without making a pattern yourself because the factory, if you have a good manufacturer, they will do that. Yeah. Yeah. It will cost you money though. Yes.
I have a couple of questions.
Yes.
One around.
Okay. All right. First question, I already forgot.
The first question is, do you ever design backwards from the price points?
Oh, yes. That is the smart thing to do. That is a very smart thing to do. But like I said earlier, I don't like my life easy, so I kind of just always go through the hard way. I love silk. I don't know why. I love silk. I love like I don't like denim without cotton in it. So I'm always doing 95% cotton, 5% spandex so that it's comfortable, right? So I always go for the high end stuff. I don't know why. That's just the way my brain is wired. But I've heard so many times people tell me that you'll be better off if you chose a price point and worked your way backwards. But I don't know how feasible that is. You can decide, I want to be within this price point, and to stay away. Like if you wanted to sell your clothes for $50, to stay away from silk and go look for all the polyester you want. To stay away from Swarovski and look for a button that is better in that price point. But work your way backwards. Unless you're working directly with the factory and they're telling you exactly how much it's going to cost you for everything, so you have an idea. I don't know. I don't know. When I wake up in the morning and the design comes to me, it never looks at my bank account. And I hate that, okay? I hate that. I wish it did. But for me, I don't design that way. But I think it's a very smart way to design because now you do know how much it's going to cost to make it and how much you're going to sell it and how much your profit is going to be. I,
You can guess. Yeah.
yeah, I am blessed enough to have clients who love the same kind of things that I love, like, silk and stuff. So they don't care about my price point much. But yes, if you were going to do it the smart way, that would be a smart way to do it. And then the second question.
Like multiple manufacturers, do you stitch together like a cohort of a supply chain that ends with a final product, or do you just go to one supplier that gives you your product?
So for zippers, I need a manufacturer for zippers because not all, so I don't make all my clothes in one place, right? I do make some of my clothes in India, like I said, but I still want my zipper to be the same, uniform, right? My labeling and the care instruction and all that stuff, I do need manufacturers to make them because I need it to look the same across board. So you're going to definitely work with different manufacturers and they're going to ship to other manufacturers, right? Like packaging and everything. You need the people who make clothes, they don't make packaging. Sometimes um, they'll offer you that service, right? But they work with other people to give you everything all at once. And I do have a manufacturer like that that does everything. They already have a logistics for all that stuff. And you just, like the guy that makes the purse, he has people who he works with to get me everything so I don't have to look at. And that's why it's good to have a tech pack again, because if I don't want them to, if they work like that, I can just send them a picture of my zipper and say, hey, this is the zipper and this is the measurements and everything. And they can produce it and give it to them and they can make it, right? But you definitely do, because some people are good with making jackets and some people are good with making suits And if you wanted to make a design that combined those, you have to, yeah. Does that answer
It
it?
does. I had one more question.
Yes. Yes. Sorry, say that again.
To what extent do you put in the tech pack how you want it made versus just letting them figure out how to make it?
You don't let them figure it out. That's why I said over communication is very important.
Okay.
Because if they
So like
fig,
machine one first, then go to machine two and do this
oh
step.
no, I can't.
Machine three, then you do this step, and that's like.
I can tell them how they want to run their machines, however they want to run it. Is their. But my thing is to let them know, hey, this is the materials I need. This is how my design is. This is, and then just let them. They don't even let you. Well, I've been fortunate enough. People kind of seem to like my smile, so they take me behind behind closed doors. But for the most part, they don't. You come, they have this beautiful office. They sit you there. They give you all the snacks you want, and they talk to you about your design. And then they're like, "Bye." You don't know what's going on. Okay. Yeah. So.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Did you have a question? Okay. Does anybody else have a question? Wow, I did such a great job. I don't have questions. Oh, yeah. So the factory that I work with, when they finish, they actually tell me how much everything weighs. So because they're shipping it, right? So they tell me exactly how much it weighs, and yeah, they tell you. They tell you how much the individual, and then they tell you how much the box weighs for shipping. So it's easier that way because when you impute it in your system for shipping to your customers, it makes your life so much easier, right? I don't know if it's what every factory does, but most of the factory that I work with, they do give me, they do, or maybe because I asked for it, they do give me the measurements, so I don't have to do all the work.
Are you talking about like the zipper size? Is that what you're
No,
Yeah,
she,
I was talking very specific. Yeah, like
yeah.
said how much that one zipper
Oh, how much the one zipper? Yeah, the reason why you give them that weight is because you know how much you don't. So I want it to still be flexible. I don't want it to. They can use a different kind of metal, and it'll be so heavy. So they need to know that it's not like heavy, right? And this is what it is. But I, I'm not gonna take credit for the zipper measurement thing. I already had somebody else do the work. Yeah, so but I wanted it because it's you see how I'm moving and it has movement. It catches your eyes and it makes me look very interesting. So yes, yes. Yes. So this zipper that I use, I actually found things that look like this zipper. My husband knows for the longest we wasted a lot of money buying zippers because I love zippers, right? So I'm always going to LA. I need to buy a zipper, and we drive all the way to LA to go get a zipper. And the funny thing is, the guy has an online shop, but I'm not gonna go to the online shop because what if there's a new zipper I don't know about? So, but I did see this type of zipper at Zip Up downtown, Zipper Up, or is it Zip Up? Yes, Fashion District. So, and I showed them.